This lesson, we will contrast the unbiblical philosophy of naturalism with the biblical philosophy of supernaturalism. So first, looking at naturalism, which says only the natural world exists. However, this is impossible because the natural world can't be eternal, nor can it create itself, so the supernatural must have created it. Then there is behaviorism, which says that mental states are merely the product of chemical reactions, and so like the brain and the mind are the same then. However, this is paradoxical logic because how would you know that, and why would I believe you? And if I did or didn't, either way, it's because of chemical reactions. Then there is fatalism and its polar opposite, incompatibilism. The first says that there is no free will whatsoever, only fate. The second says that there is no transcendent sovereign authority. So there's just anarchical free will and no fate whatsoever or anything related. The problem with the first one is that it neglects man's moral responsibility, because if you have no free will, then you cannot be blamed. And then the second neglects that free will is limited to the chooser's nature. So like, you got a sinful nature, you make sinful choices. And it also neglects the vast fulfillment of biblical prophecies. And finally, there's existentialism, nihilism, and absurdism, which all say that nothing has divine meaning. Specifically, existentialism says that existence precedes essence. So first you exist, and then you create your own identity. So like all this talk about living or being your air quote authentic self, whatever the heck that means. And then nihilism says that all is meaningless. And then absurdism says that all, especially meaning and existence, are just absurd. And all of them, in a way, seek to kill God and his sovereignty, which is why Nietzsche, the guy who came up with nihilism, said God is dead. But, especially, you didn't really know if you've seen any of the movies, God is not dead, right? Now let's contrast this with supernaturalism, which is the recognition of the supernatural realm, like in Hebrews 11:3. But by faith we understand that the universe was created not by the word of God, so that what is seen was not made out of things that are visible. Then within this you have dualism, and there are many usages of this term. I'm specifically referring to the natural and supernatural coexisting, and the brain and mind being separate. You know, you have your brain, which is your organ, and then you have the mind, which is your thinking. The physical and the abstract sort of thing. No, and we see when we see this in Genesis 35:18, the first part says, "And as her soul was departing," this is when Rachel was dying while giving birth to Benjamin. See, it says her supernatural soul is separating from her natural body, so both exist. Then there is the biblical middle ground between fatalism and incompatibilism, and that is compatibilism, which says that man's free will and God's sovereignty coexist. Like it says in Proverbs 16:9, "The heart of man plans his way," that's man's free will, "but the Lord establishes his steps," there's God's sovereignty. And then finally there is essentialism, which says that things are defined by their God-given intrinsic essence with a purpose. Like it says in Proverbs 16:4, "The Lord has made everything for its purpose, even the wicked for the day of trouble." And like demonstrated in Jeremiah 1:5, "Before I, God, formed you, Jeremiah, in the womb I knew you, and before you were born I consecrated you. I appointed you a prophet to the nations." So this is the exact opposite of existentialism. See, first there is your God-given identity, and then you exist.